In this lesson, we're going to learn how to add a button to a swing program. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take the old program that we wrote in our last lesson, textfields.java. We're going to make a copy of it, copy it, and we're going to start a new program called buttons.java. And we're going to paste the old program in, and then we're going to go back and make a couple of changes right off the bat. And you could do this with find and replace. I'm just going to do it manually because there's only a few places that it needs to change. Okay. So what we want to do is we want to add a button to the form. So the first thing we're going to do is declare a button. And that's using the JButton class, as you see right there. Next thing we want to do is instantiate the button. So after we instantiate the text field, we're going to type button is equal to new, JButton, and we're going to put a caption on the button that says put text in the label so that when the user clicks the button, the text goes from the text box to the label. The next thing we want to do is add an action listener for our button. So what we're going to do is we're going to copy this action listener. We'll add it in right here where the space is. And then we're going to change it appropriately. So we're going to change text field to button. And that's really all we have to change. So now when the button is clicked, we're going to get the text from the text field and put it in the label. Simple enough. We also want to change the size of our frame for this particular lesson. So we're going to change it to 200/150. Next thing we want to do, and actually the last thing we have to do, is add the button to the frame. We're going to put it between the text field and the label. So let's go back over the code that we added to our application. First of all, we declared a button. Then we instantiated the button. Then we wrote out the action listener code, the event handling code for the button. And then finally, we added the button to the frame. Everything else stays as is because we already changed our call to the constructor right here. So everything's in place to run. So let's save the file. Go back to our command prompt, compile the program, and run it. Let me put the code in place where you can see it. So here's where we type our text. Here's where we click the button, and there's the text. I made it smaller than it needs to be so that everything stayed on one row. You see if I spread it out a little bit. Then we have the text field, the button, and the label all on the same line, which looks kind of funny. And I made a fairly small text field to boot. But notice how it works. And see how the flow layout works is that if our label field is too wide to fit on the line, it just drops it down below the other two widgets. Flow layout is not a perfect layout manager. It works great when we're just introducing these concepts, but later on I'll demonstrate how to use a different layout manager than flow layout. But for now it's working fine, so that's how you add a button to a GUI application. And with that, we're ready to move on to the next lesson where we're going to talk about list boxes.